Welcome to the Crypto Teacher Stock channel. And guys, please like and subscribe if you do like what you're listening to. Please inform your friends and family and spread all over social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works. Because once we understand how the world really works, we understand that everything is planned out. Now, guys, today we saw some chess moves being made. We saw the Asian countries bond together. I've been saying this all along on my Crypto Teacher channel. I'll be going over it in the morning. But guys, we see the signing of the deal. So the fact is, I've been over the Belt and Road time and time again. So instead of talking about stocks, I'm going to give you another video just to make you think. Now, of course, right now, the Asian markets are up. So that means 99% chance that the United States markets are going to be up. Remember, we're a global market now, guys. But this week, guys, the United States market is going to be a roller coaster just because of the C word. They're going to use that a lot this week. Remember, I told you that. But getting into the China videos, I'm going to show you about the Belt and Road, guys. We see China, of course, like I stated, bonding the Asian markets and then also trying to get into Africa and basically give them loans, get them in debt so then therefore they can control, also putting their military in places the same way. Who did it? America. The central banks are just going to use China to do the same thing they did in America. Remember, America, the Babylon falls, and the dragon, the China Empire, rises as number one. But the fact is that the central bank is still running it. So now that this deal has been signed, guys, the Chinese digital Yuan is going to be airdropped to everybody out there, guys. Remember, I told you that. And that's going to bring their poverty out of these emerging markets, the poverty up to the middle class. And that is going to tank the dollar. And then, of course, in the United States, they're going to bring in the universal basic income because the United States, of course, we will start seeing inflation. But then, guys, we're going to go through a period of hyper deflation due to all the automation, robots, drones. And guys, do not forget to check out the Crypto Teacher channel and enjoy the video.
Paul, how important is the timing of this, considering the damage caused to global trade, to global supply chains by COVID-19?
Yeah, this is expected to be good medicine for the economic recovery. Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, said it was crucial as Australia and the region rebuilds. Indonesia's Trade Minister sees it boosting his country's exports by 11%. And these are all views echoed by the trade ministers of most of the signatory nations. This is the largest trade deal ever, as you say. It covers a third of the world's population, about 2.2 billion people, collectively producing about a third of global GDP as well, more than $26 trillion. The member nations, all 10 members of ASEAN, China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand as well. A notable omission there is India. India pulled out last year, wanted to retain farm subsidies, was worried about how the deal might affect its most vulnerable people. India does have an option to join later, though. But this is going to eliminate tariffs on at least 92% of traded goods and some stronger provisions as well to address non-tariff measures.
Hey, Paul, recently Australia's faced some pretty heavy-handed trade pressure from China. Is there any expectation RCEP might help offset that somehow?
Yeah, but potentially. I mean, Australian goods have been subject to inspections, reviews, and all sorts of bureaucratic problems when getting into China. All that's considered to be veiled retaliation for Australia's calls for an inquiry into the origins of the coronavirus. As to whether this deal is going to help, well, there might be an immediate benefit. All of these meetings this year have been happening virtually, so when in-person meetings resume next year, Australia might be able to use the RCEP Pact as an opportunity to meet with Chinese ministers, because there's been no ministerial contact between the two countries since this diplomatic spat got going. Trade Minister Simon Birmingham urging China to act in the spirit of the deal. But in terms of China's influence in the region, this deal really does boost it, particularly when you consider the U.S. pulling out of the TPP. That might have acted as a counterweight for U.S. trade in the region. There's a few more steps to go for this deal, though. It's got to be ratified. 6 ASEAN countries and 3 non-ASEAN countries have to ratify this for it to come into effect. But that looks to be a formality. Singapore's signal it intends to approve this within the next few months.
The Belt and Road Initiative is China's ambitious plans for economic integration on a massive scale. The land belt runs from China through South and Central Asia into Europe, while the Maritime Road connects coastal Chinese cities with Africa and the Mediterranean. The reach is vast. To date, at least 68 countries and international organizations have signed trade and infrastructure deals with China as part of the initiative. Together, these countries account for up to 40% of global GDP, a whopping $21 trillion. Key projects of the Belt and Road Initiative include a 12,000-kilometer railway connecting London to the Chinese city of Yiwu, a highway that connects Kashgar in China's far west with Pakistan's Gwaida port, and a pipeline from Turkmenistan to China that will eventually pump 55 billion cubic meters of gas a year to Shanghai. Proponents of the Belt and Road Initiative say such investments and projects can benefit the whole world and lift billions of people out of poverty. But critics say China is using such projects as a means to gain more geopolitical influence. The United States has long been wary of China's growing influence, and there are concerns its own standing in the region could be waning. Many countries taking part in the Belt and Road Initiative, including South Korea, the Philippines, and Israel, are key U.S. allies. The initiative has also been welcomed by many European nations that hope it will attract more Chinese investment and development. But other countries are more reserved. At the Belt and Road Forum China hosted in 2017, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom opted not to sign a trade statement, saying the initiative was not clear on public procurement or social and environmental standards. One country that is on board is Russia. It's poised to benefit from the Belt and Road Initiative through joint investments and projects with China. In turn, China is relying on Russia's cooperation and involvement because of its strong historical influence in Central Asia. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China hopes its economic interests, influence, and importance will continue to grow on the global stage.
Cooperation with China. In April this year, Tanzanian President John Magufuli canceled a $10 billion Chinese loan signed by the former president, saying that China wants to take control of the local port and airport in exchange for infrastructure, stating, "Only a drunk would accept such a clause." In democratic countries, the law is another way of solving problems. Victoria is the only Australian state to have signed the One Belt, One Road agreement with Beijing, and its premier, Daniel Andrews, was recently called to a Senate hearing to explain why he is a strong supporter of the agreement.
Of the land while you're in charge. Now, how much of Australia have you sold off to China?